Hey everyone, Josh here from Teach Yourself Websites. A lot of people have been asking how you get those floating social media bar buttons. So I'm on a site that I read called Mashable, and they have this little floating section of media buttons. So you'll see when I scroll down the page, it kind of sticks with the page, and it reminds people to like and tweet and plus one and all that kind of good stuff. So to implement on this on your site, you can do it with a WordPress plugin called DigDig, and it's spelled a little funny. It's actually DIGG. And if you do a search for that in your WordPress backend, you'll be able to find that as the first result there. So if I click and install that, you can activate that plugin. And once you've activated the plugin, you'll see this little DigDig section down in the sidebar. So the first thing you should do is go and have a look at your global config. What you'll probably need to do here is just set up a few of your settings, like what your Twitter account is, so that when people click on the tweet button, it recommends they follow you. Same with Buffer. If you use Buffer, it's a really popular service that you can use to queue up tweets and stuff like that. And this plugin is actually now owned by Buffer, so that's why they get a pretty prominent mention in this. And there's a bunch of other ones here that for the minor social networks as well. Then what you probably want to do is go and have a look at the floating display options. So this will, when this option here is ticked, it'll enable the floating display, and you can choose where you want to display these buttons. So by default, it's only checked on posts, which means that your pages and categories and lists of blog posts and stuff like that are not going to show the floating sidebar, which I think is probably a pretty good idea. So just have it on blog posts. Of course, you can change that if you want. You can also tell it to exclude the posts under certain categories, which is handy, and also some options there for the placement of the floating sidebar. So if you want that to be overlapping with the content frame, you can do that. There's also another one here, which is to let DigDig bar float past the end of the post. By default, it'll only scroll to the end of the post. Now the main section of settings that you're going to want to tweak is the buttons. So by default, they've got a lot of buttons included here. So all the big ones are already enabled, like Twitter and Buffer and Stumble. You can have StumbleUpon or Facebook and Dig as well, and a few of those other sharing sites. So those are things you can go through and enable those as you need to. You can also add extra services, and that kind of integrates with sharethis.com, so you can go and register for an account with them to be able to do that. So once you're happy with that, click on Save Changes and go and have a look at your website. So I'm just going to open this up in a new tab, and I'm going to go to a blog post, just any old post. And there we go. So you see it sitting there on the left-hand side. It loads in the social networks one by one. And yeah, it's just a great little thing to remind people to share your posts. So that's how you have a Mashable style floating sidebar for your blog.